Well, hello everyone, and welcome to our Twitter Spaces here today. I'm Ryan Fox. I'm developer advocate here at Algorand, and I'm thrilled to be joined today by a couple of guests from Wyre, and we together are building an integration to make sure that we onboard and integrate crypto and fiat together. So, welcome everyone. We're getting everybody set up here. So. Let me just go around, make some introductions here. Once again, I'm Ryan Fox, developer advocate here at Algorand, and today we've got guests from Wyre, and Wyre is all about helping developers bring crypto, and they're doing that by making a super simple payments API to build our Web3 vision. So joining me today are Jamal Reyes. He is Director of Crypto Strategy. Jamal, welcome. And Tyler Anderson, Partnership Marketing Manager at Wyre. And he is hiding behind the SendWire username today. And then also on my team, Tony is joining us from marketing. He's behind the Algo Devs handle today. So we're going to introducing you or reacquainting you with Wyre, because it's been a while since we've had them on the developer office hours when they first announced their partnership, and of course we're going to take some time to get our guests, our community members, up here asking questions a little bit later. So reminder, Wyre's super OG. These guys started. Although it's been a while since we've had you guys on with us, I want to make sure that we get a good understanding of why Wyre, how Wyre, and let's talk a little bit about what the Wyre API stack looks like, and we'll roll into a roadmap and so on. So welcome, Jamal and Tyler, to our show today.
Super excited to be here. Thank you for having us.
Outstanding. So, hey Jamal, maybe just take us back, remind us about from the high level what is the Wyre integration all about, and what have we got, and I guess what's changed since the last time we chatted.
Yeah, of course. For those of you unfamiliar with Wyre is bringing two things to the table here. Really, we bring compliant infrastructure from a payments perspective. And then also the ease of use of integrating to multiple different payment systems, including Algorand, including fiat functions, all within one really simple API. So Wyre's MSB infrastructure, our licensing, our compliance infrastructure, our anti-money laundering stack, all of that covers builders, fintechs, developers like yourselves, to enable you guys to build on Wyre's APIs without having to worry about that compliance stack. Also, we have established multiple connections to blockchains like Algorand and other fiat payment mechanisms to make it easy for you to integrate multiple fiat payments, multiple blockchain payments with one simple API integration.
That's so cool. I mean, this is all about trying to bridge essentially the fiat world into the crypto world, and you guys are doing that all with a bunch of simple APIs. So maybe just tell us what it looks like from the developer's standpoint. What are they getting themselves into here in this Algorand and Wyre integration?
I'd like to think of Wyre as almost like Stripe for crypto. We very much so want to be a back-end infrastructure provider and enable developers to come and build their vision, their version of the app out on top of Wyre, and not have to worry about any of those headaches that come with the financial infrastructure that goes along with it. Our stack is pretty broad, so we have a number of products across a lot of different jurisdictions, a lot of different functions, but pretty much what we are designed to do is payments infrastructure in three major areas. Number one, taking payments externally from other sources and turning it into crypto, turning it into money on the platform. So that's like taking a debit card payment, an Apple Pay payment, a credit card payment, another crypto payment, a bank payment, both domestically in the US and internationally as well, and turning that into Algorand assets, a variety of Algorand assets that we have integrated on the platform. So stack one or bucket number one of our services are what do we enable or how do we enable users to bring their existing funds, maybe in fiat, maybe in crypto, and allow them to interact with the Algorand ecosystem on multiple different Algorand partners or just buying Algorand to hold in their wallet. That's stack number one. Stack number two is the infrastructure around holding crypto and doing stuff with your crypto. So let's say you are holding Algorand assets. Let's say you're holding another blockchain assets. Wyre can provide the custody solution to hold those assets in a hosted wallet on your behalf and on your user's behalf. And what that allows you to do is basically create a wallet to be fully Algorand enabled, to receive funds on the Algorand blockchain, to hold funds and provide the ledger of those funds, and then also send funds out also on chain on the Algorand blockchain, all without having to understand what private keys are, and all without having to build out any sort of integrations directly on the blockchain. Wyre will hold those funds for you. Wyre will enable the user to move those funds via API, and then custody all those funds in a secure manner as well. In addition to that, we also have a number of functions where you can swap those assets from one Algorand asset into another one or other blockchains into Algorand assets as well. So that's stack number two, the infrastructure around holding assets on the platform or just keeping assets on the ecosystem itself. And then stack number three is how do we facilitate payouts? So how do we take Algorand assets and allow people to cash out with fiat to their bank account? How do we allow people to take a variety of assets and maybe deliver them on chain to multiple parties, maybe like a mass payment solution, a payout solution? So we can take a variety of assets, we can take a variety of fiats, and we can deliver directly on chain to Algorand wallets, multiple different Algorand assets directly to those users' blockchain wallets.
Sounds incredible. Sounds almost like too good to be true, because I mean, let's face it, like bridging the fiat world to crypto has been, kind of that silver bullet, something that we've been thinking about, well, for you guys since 2013, which is the same time when I got into this blockchain space as well. But you guys are actually able to do it now. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? US based company, is that right?
We are a US based company, but we
All right.
operate internationally and we're regulated internationally as well.
So tell us about like that. This is legit. This is not just some fly by night company. Tell us about all the crazy certifications and approvals we've got around the globe.
Yeah, I mean, Wyre is, like I said, both based in the US and also operates internationally. In the US, we are a compliant, regulated MSB, money service business. So that means we're regulated by FinCEN, which is the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. That basically allows us to compliantly and securely move funds on behalf of other users. Specifically, the licenses that are required to do that, we have a number of money transmitter licenses, which are a state by state licensing or a state by state license that we need to get to be able to compliantly hold and move funds for those users across the US and also internationally as well. But that's just in the US. Outside the US, we have a number of different entities that we've stood up, just like business entities in different jurisdictions, and then applied for relevant licenses and statuses in those jurisdictions to enable us to do cross-border payments as well, do local in-border processing for other jurisdictions like Europe, like Australia, and we're expanding into areas in Latin America, in Africa, and Southeast Asia as well. But basically, we have entities across the globe, offices worldwide, staff worldwide to basically facilitate this global vision of empowering companies to understand what that global ecosystem looks like, building on blockchain, building on companies like Algorand.
Great. Well, of course, Algorand is really known for being able to make it quite easy to create assets using the Algorand standard asset primitive in layer one, right? And we also have some nice features that allow us to make security tokens as well. And so I'm wondering now, how can the Wyre API help us with the security tokens specifically, right? With KYC and with onboarding of customers various jurisdictions as well.
We have a number of products out there, and the goal is to be very bare bones, kind of raw infrastructure, so that developers can come in and actualize and realize their vision in the way that they see fit. So there are hundreds of use cases, if not thousands of use cases that we can support. But one of our flagship products is called Wyre Checkout. And this is what people have maybe have seen in our integration in MetaMask or a number of other partners that we have there. It's basically a turnkey crypto, like fiat to crypto on ramp. And it's fully enabled with Algorand today, which means a developer, an app, a business, whatever, can utilize our checkout API to generate a turnkey fiat to crypto purchasing experience. So what that looks like is Wyre has built out a full end-to-end solution to allow a developer to hit our API and generate a URL that contains the full crypto purchasing experience. And that includes the checkout experience, the UI that's actually built there. It's a Wyre hosted UI. You'll see the domain is going to be sendwyre.com. And in that checkout experience and UI, you'll see the full checkout flow, as well as integrated KYC, as well as integrated bank payments, as well as integrated tracking and transfer, transfer tracking for those funds as well. So that means someone can come in, type in $100, select Algorand USDC, Algorand USDT, whatever assets we have support for, enter in their debit card, credit card, maybe even Apple Pay, or their bank information, and actually turn those fiat payments into crypto. This solution is literally turnkey. We have some people that have integrated it in like 6 hours. It's 11 lines of code. Drop it in there. You hit our API to generate a URL and redirect to that URL, and it's a fully turnkey environment.
All right. Again, sounds almost too good to be true. So it must cost like $1 bazillion, right? I mean, if we're talking about you got all that infrastructure back there for us, and you've simplified it down to 11 lines of code, this must be a whole lot in order to use. So, can you tell us a little bit about how the fee structure works and how we use those APIs?
Yeah, Wire's vision is very much so to be empowering developers, empowering small businesses to get off the ground and build on Wyre. Wyre is really made for builders. So ultimately, there's no upfront cost, no integration cost, no monthly fee at all. And in fact, in many situations, we actually don't charge any fees to the business. In the checkout solution, if you look at what we've done with MetaMask and other companies like it, the fees are actually charged to the end user. So, like for example, a user will type in $100 of Algorand USDC. We convert that into obviously an exchange rate of 100 USDC on Algorand. We charge 2.9% plus 30 cents domestically in the US for a user to use his card or his or her card. And then in international situations, so outside the domestic US, we have that same integration for 3.9% plus 30 cents. But what that means is the user will pay that fee to purchase the funds and will receive the Algorand assets immediately after we charge them a fee. So the business actually incurs no cost whatsoever and are enabling their users with, like I said, a turnkey fiat to crypto solution so that they can then take the crypto and interact with the app in some way.
Yeah, that sounds totally reasonable. That's not gouging like we've seen some of the early players in the space doing. So thank you for that, and of course thank you for making it easy. And I'm wondering, can you tell us maybe, and maybe I'll turn to Tyler here at this point, right? And try to talk to us a little bit about some of those joint partnerships that we have established here within the Algorand ecosystem. You know, can you introduce us to one and tell us why they chose to use Wyre?
Yeah, 100%. One of the most exciting ones that came down the pipeline recently is a company called Blemmy. They have launched a really exciting integration that is providing a wide variety and suite of different payroll services. They chose Wyre for a couple different reasons, but end to end, they have end to end, they decided to pick Wyre for quick onboarding, a compliant and secure way to be able to hop on, turn on a new revenue opportunity, and just be able to run with it. We have a couple of other really exciting ones in the pipeline, but that's just one that is live and already functional. Apologies.
The idea there is
Love it.
just to kind of jump in there a little bit. The idea there is that a company like Bloomy can come in and without any upfront cost whatsoever, or without any sort of like deep, complex, intense integration or regulatory scrutiny or regulatory like infrastructure being put in place, a company like Bloomy can come in and start developing on Algorand assets with literally no barriers to entry. So the goal here is to make it as frictionless as possible for companies like Bloomy to come in and build on Algorand's blockchain without having to worry about any of those existing fiat systems, so they can start better supporting some of their mainstream users there.
Outstanding. Well, I know we want to get questions from the audience. So at this point, I want to have people who have how APIs to put your hand up, hit that request button. Tony's going to be watching, is going to bring them up. And I'll ask Jamal and Tyler, like, did we miss anything here that we needed to set the table here? Is there anything that we've left out thus far?
I guess what I love talking about, I'm ultra passionate about. Wyre's constantly adding new payment methods, and that's not just here in the U.S. either. That's internationally as well. So what I mean by that is we're constantly making it easier for users to enter the ecosystem. We're also constantly making it easier for different jurisdictions to enter the ecosystem too. So again, I don't want to derail any questions here, but I love the fact that we are working so closely with you guys on enabling jurisdictions like Argentina and Mexico and Brazil to be able to transact and interact with Wyre's APIs, as well as the Algorand blockchain ecosystem. So yeah, I love the fact that we are constantly iterating and gathering new jurisdictions to make it even easier for people across the world to enter this ecosystem, and then transact with each other on that ecosystem.
And Jamal, I think there's an opportunity to speak on that even in a little bit more depth. You know, our compliance infrastructure really is one of our biggest value props that we provide. Can you speak on some of the recent improvements, additions that we've made there, and just kind of what we're looking to build towards the future for that?
Absolutely, yeah. People underestimate the compliance work and resources that are needed to sometimes launch some of these payment platforms, or just simple payment apps or crypto apps at that point as well. So Wyre is just constantly working and putting resources towards expanding our regulatory infrastructure. And that's not just in licenses, that's also things like KYC, and that's also things like anti-money laundering and anti-crime enforcement that we do in-house here. So on the licensing side, we have outsourced partners, internal partners, like millions, potentially millions of dollars of resources tied to expanding that licensing infrastructure to make sure that these these developers that build on top of Wyre, they don't ever have to worry about going out and spending like thousands, millions, hundreds of thousands of dollars on building out these licensing, the regulatory infrastructure themselves. So Wyre's gone out and actually built a lot of that infrastructure and put that in place to make it easier for users to build and piggyback on that regulatory infrastructure. Number one. Number two is we're also handling a lot of the KYC on behalf of some of these developers to, again, make it even easier for their users to leverage some of our pre-existing solutions. And that's in-house KYC, where we actually are holding a light amount of KYC in-house, and we hold that on behalf of the user. That's also third parties that we work with. One of the most notable being SumSub, a company called Sum and Substance. They're a leader in the ID verification space, and we have partnered up with them to basically do the document KYC on the end users so that those users can basically run through a quick and seamless flow and then have Wyre hold that data compliantly through SumSub to ensure that the KYC is never rerun or it's not frictionful, if that's a word. So there's not a lot of friction for people to go on and transact, right? So KYC is bucket number two of where we've been doing a lot of work to make sure things are just frictionless for the user to transact and come back and have recurring payments and things like that as well, really seamlessly. Bucket number three is also what we do behind the scenes. We're doing a lot of monitoring and I guess protections to make sure that there's no liability to the developer, to the app, or to the end user when it comes to things like fraud, chargebacks, maybe like illegal money laundering, illegal transactions, things like that we are constantly monitoring for. Number one, we have manual monitors on staff that are there to make sure that these transactions that we have are super clean, squeaky clean, that they don't violate any red flags or anything like that. And we work directly with FinCEN and other government entities to make sure we are properly passing them the right data and giving them everything that they need to make sure that they're mitigating some of this risk of crime and money laundering and whatnot. We also use a number of automated tools as well. So we have Chainalysis, we have Elliptic integrations with these guys that basically run scans on the crypto transactions themselves to make sure that they've never been used illegally, never been used in an unsavory or blacklisted manner as well.
Okay, I have a question. I am sitting with lawyers in our group and living in Europe. So just explain me exactly in details how you execute payments in the various European countries.
Great question. There's a lot we can do in Europe. Wyre is actually working on building out our regulatory infrastructure in Europe, but we have a decent amount of infrastructure today, but we're working on building a lot of that in-house. What we can do today in Europe is we can process debit cards, credit cards into Algorand assets. We're also working very closely to add SEPA as a form of payment for bank payments, bank transfers into Algorand assets. And then obviously the swap functionality of being able to take Algorand assets and swap them into other crypto assets as well. I believe also payout functionality is also live in the sense that someone can take their Algorand assets, send them to Wyre to be liquidated, and then we can actually facilitate a payout to a European bank account via SEPA as well.
So what you're saying is that it's not real blockchain, it's Web 2 and Web 3.
Oh, these are actual on-chain transactions, right? So in a non-custodial manner, you can send us directly on-chain Algorand assets. We can swap them into other Algorand assets or other blockchain assets via our swaps API. And that is a non-custodial API there. We also have Wyre Checkout, which is a fully non-custodial delivery of Algorand assets as well as other assets after we take a fiat payment with a debit card, credit card, and also our banking payments as well. When we launch SEPA support, will also be non-custodial.
But you can never be on-chain if you integrate with the bank. That is off-chain.
I guess. I mean, yes, the fiat world does not have a blockchain address today, right? And that's exactly what Wyre is all about. Between those two interfaces, we got to bring those fiat dollars on chain, and once you're onboarded.
Sounds like you have a bad connection, so I'll just take over. At the end of the day, what we are working on here is basically doing on-chain borderless transactions. So if you want to interact with traditional Wyre, Swift, whatever we call it, IBAN, then it's off-chain and on-chain. Is that correct?
So, I mean, I guess we can get into the weeds here. I guess what Wyre's service we're providing here is the on-ramp into the blockchain. So someone who does not have any Algorand assets today can use their existing fiat systems to enter the blockchain and get assets that are actually delivered on the blockchain themselves. And then subsequently, everything can be done on-chain after that. You are right. Fiat is not on the blockchain today, of course. But we take that fiat in an existing mainstream system, which has a significant amount of users and is of great importance to the crypto community, of course. We want to enable those users to enter the ecosystem without any issue, without any pain points. And the goal of Checkout, the goal of Wyre's payments APIs is to enable those existing fiat systems where there's a significant amount of liquidity to enable those users and those assets to be transferred over to the blockchain, which we would love to see.
Okay, so everything we work on is exchange of value, and we use Algo because it's secure, fast, and everything that is surrounded Algo. What you're saying is that we should take the traditional financial old school system, integrate it into blockchain, distribute, and go back to the old school system. That's basically what you're saying, right?
I don't think that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that we should enable users who have no way of getting Algorand assets today. We should enable them to enter the ecosystem so they can take advantage of great companies like yourself, right? Without a company like Wyre, There is no way. I mean, obviously, I'm sure there are other ways here, but Wire's goal is to provide that direct on ramp for a user that's got these traditional assets and is not able to move them to the Algorand blockchain, so that they can essentially enter the blockchain and interact and get all the benefits that you're talking about.
All right, thanks.
Well, hey, thanks for the question there, Crypto Viking. I wanted to bring up another developer here, MG. He special developer in the Algorand ecosystem because he helped us immensely over the last couple of weeks remotely with the ETH Denver hackathon event. So special thanks to MG. What do you got for questions for the Wyre team?
Thank you, Ryan, here for the family. Hello, Algorand family. I just have one simple question. I know that, first of all, amazing job with Wyre, and it is amazing that this service exists and integrated with Algorand. I just have one question, and that's, you talked about, having integrated all of the fiat to crypto integrations, but what about the reverse flow? And what if some companies, especially the retail companies, are in need of, having to accept the crypto payments and then settlements and checkouts in fiat? I know that is available through your ACH service providing, but regarding that, ACH is in need of regulations, and you are a U.S. company. I don't know, how will it work out when you want to, get that service into Europe and Asia and other parts of the globe? And I would be, delighted if you can, express a little bit on that subject.
Absolutely. Yeah. Wyre has a full capability to do what we call an off-ramp, which is essentially where we receive Algorand assets, liquidate them, turn them into cash, and then deliver that cash in one of our existing fiat payout systems. So we do have support for multiple jurisdictions around the world for fiat payouts, which again means we can take any Algorand asset and deliver funds in Europe, in Mexico, in Brazil, etc. The way that works today is we have the ability to use Wire's API to set up a location of where to send the Algorand assets. So we actually deliver a Algorand blockchain address to you. You can initiate a transfer, or you can present that to the user to then initiate a transfer. But at some point in time, that user receives an Algorand address to send the assets to. We receive those assets, and we subsequently will link a payment method, which would be like a bank address or a bank routing and account number or whatever it is. We'll receive those Algorand assets. We will link that payment method to these Algorand assets, and then essentially liquidate them and deliver the funds directly in fiat to the user's bank account. This is live today in jurisdictions like EU with SEPA, the US with ACH, with international wire transfers like SWIFT, with Mexican pesos, with Brazilian real, with Australian dollars. And it's part of our role here at Wyre to really constantly be expanding that. So we just recently announced that we have support for ARS in Argentinian pesos in Argentina. We're rolling out a number of other jurisdictions in the next couple of months as well. A couple of areas that are really interesting to us. Obviously, Latin America, one of our primary focuses, but also other jurisdictions in Europe, specifically jurisdictions in Africa and jurisdictions in Southeast Asia as well.
Perfect. And one little question: will the end user crypto payers need to have to complete the KYC process? Because as you know, when users get onboarded with crypto communities, for example, I can get an Algorand wallet and have some algos in it without passing any KYC. But when I want to, spend some of those algos as through the service that you just explained to us, will I need to, have the KYC? Because as you know, when it comes to accept retail payments from millions of users during an event, for example, you consider Olympics. In some country, if you want to accept the very small amounts of money from the small expenditures of users all around the world, it would, somehow all of a sudden become a problem to, have all of them go through KYC and so on and so forth. Do you have some solutions for this problem as well? And thank you very much. These were my questions.
So that's a great question, and obviously KYC varies from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. So I think that gets a little complicated really fast. But let's take the U.S. as example. Then I'm happy to talk about Europe as well because those are two major jurisdictions for us. The way it works today is if someone is receiving a transaction on the blockchain itself, that happens outside of Wyre, right? So if someone has their own Algorand asset, and a user, let's say, comes up in a coffee shop, wants to buy a cup of coffee and wants to spend Algorand assets, that happens directly between that merchant and the user on the blockchain itself. And that we want that to remain outside of Wyre. The idea is then this merchant now has possession of a bunch of Algorand assets and now may need to pay some bills or pay their employees or do something with that Algorand. They could then use Wyre's API to go in between Algorand and fiat, right? I call it fiat to Algorand interoperability. You want to buy more Algorand with fiat, you want to cash out your Algorand into fiat, there's a lot of interoperability that can happen there. At that point in time, the KYC that's being done, again, depending on the jurisdiction, is really mainly on the merchant because it's the Algorand is already in their possession. So there is a bit of light KYC, again, depending on the jurisdiction, on the merchant itself to make sure that that merchant, whoever's liquidating the crypto itself, has a bank account. That bank account has the right name on it. That name matches the merchant's name that they're registered under. If those light checkboxes are checked off, we can process that payment out, for example, in the US. So what that means, let me just give you an example. Let's say throughout the day, I've accepted $20,000 in Algorand through just selling services. Maybe I sell socks or whatever it is. Now I have $20,000 of Algorand sitting in an Algorand wallet. I can use Wyre's API to send that $20,000 worth of Algorand to, again, like a blockchain address that Wyre provides me. And Wyre can liquidate that into $20,000 US or whatever the equivalent is, and then deliver that to my US bank account, to my European bank account with only the name on the bank account itself. Right. So I have to create an account at Wyre, of course, but ultimately all I need to actually facilitate that payout is just the name on the bank account and then obviously the relevant banking information as well. So in the US, for example, all I need is your name on the US bank account, your ACH routing number, and your ACH account number, and I can facilitate a payout to that address or to that location.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, MG. I'm going to move on to a couple of other developers that we've got some questions here. Mahesh, has got lots of experience using the Microsoft language stack and is looking to ask you some questions about your APIs.
Hey, Ryan. Thank you for having me, Jamal. Thanks for helping this out. Yeah, I'm at your Wyre checkout, right? I'm looking at the pricing and fees, right? Is there any difference between this API versus checkout? If you can spend a minute on that. And also, is there a limitation on per day transaction or per week or per month, how you have on your webpage? That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question. So Wyre's APIs are meant to be very bare bones and meant to be built on top of. So you'll actually see minus checkout. So everything but checkout actually has zero UI and is really just bare bones API services. Wyre's checkout is really just a UI, a simple UI that we built to make it easier for fintechs, developers, apps, platforms to drop a turnkey solution. It is really built on the same exact APIs, though, that you would see in our developer documentation. So the card processing API in specific, which is how we run our cards and turn them into, let's say, Algorand assets. That is the same API that is run on the checkout. The only difference is we built a UI and the end-to-end KYC integration to also allow someone to just go to market quicker and go to market easier. So yes, it's the same API. The fees are the same. The fees in the card processing space are 2.9% plus 30 cents in the US, 3.9% plus 30 cents in internationally. But there are other methods if you're looking for a more cost-effective solution. So there's bank transfers, like, for example, ACH transfers in the US, which, depending on which asset you're buying, can be anywhere from 0.2%, so just 20 basis points, all the way up to 0.75%, 75 basis points, which are very cost-effective, if you ask me. Which means, just to kind of drop this out there, if someone buys $1,000 of Algorand USDC, a stable coin we have on Algorand that we have support for, that's just going to be charged at 20 basis points. So 20 cents. Actually, I'm wrong. My math. I'm not good at math. I'm sorry. 20% or 0.2%, right? So 1,000 times 0.2%. That's the fee that we would charge, which is pretty fair, pretty reasonable if you look at the grand scheme of things. The thing about cards that people like, though, is that we also offer instant delivery, which means when you run your debit card, your credit card with Wyre, whether it be the API or Wyre's checkout, it is the assets are delivered within 5 minutes to be used subsequently in an app or a DApp or another game or something like that. So people prefer the card and the higher fees that come with cards because they prefer that instant delivery. But again, we do have alternative payment methods to bring that cost down if you're looking for the more cost-effective solution or if your limits are just higher. The limits are not as uniform as you would expect. We do actually engage in some custom conversations here, so we can, in a certain sense, make custom limits for you. Not a lot of flexibility, but there is some. But there are limits that we have for the US, and there are limits that we have internationally as well. So, for example, in the US, we have card limits that go all the way up to 2,500 US dollars per day, which means with a little bit of extra KYC, you can actually transact and buy $2,500 worth of Algorand assets on your card and have them instantly delivered right then and there. The levels above that, the amounts above that. So let's say you wanted to transact somewhere from $2,500 to $25,000. Then you can use some of our banking methods, which obviously are a little bit more cost effective, but don't have that instant delivery as well. Internationally, our limits are different, and I'm super sorry I don't know them super well off the top of my head, but I believe it's 500 US dollars a day. And then I think there's a weekly limit as well. I'm sorry. I can subsequently provide like a little bit more info on that. I think maybe we can tweet out later on what our limits look like or whatever. There is some documentation on our website if you want to go look that up as well.
Oh, that's awesome. I think that's very detailed. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for your question, Mahesh. And developers that are out there, put your hands up. We've got the Wyre team here talking to us about their APIs, how they're integrated with Algorand, and making that bridge between the fiat world and the crypto world. So come on up, and we'll take your questions. I'm going to go to my colleague Russ Festino. He is a developer relations specialist here at Algorand as well. And Russ, why don't you give us some questions?
Hey, great session here, by the way. Just really thoroughly enjoying it. And I wish you guys the best of luck over at Wyre and everything you're doing. This is fantastic. The question I have is, I know we've talked a lot about like debit cards or credit cards. Every store has a store card too, and as well as gift certificate cards. What's the plans there along those lines? Will the API facilitate that, or do you have some products in the works that are in the plans? Just to shed some light on that particular area, that'd be great. I know when I try to give out algos as a gift, it's a very cumbersome process, and so I'm hoping this is going to be simplified somewhat with you guys.
Yeah, great question. So two things I want to highlight there. Number one, Wyre has the Wallets API, which is a fully custodial wallet that you can generate for each individual user. So when it comes to gifting, this is a really, really unique option because it removes that exposure of private keys and on-chain liability for that user. Someone like yourself can gift, or in an app or some sort of mechanism, can gift algos to a user and have Wyre spin up a custodial wallet to hold those algos for that user and enable full wallet functionality before they then subsequently move them on chain. So it's kind of like an intermediary solution where users can get that algo experience holding funds, moving funds, receiving funds without having the complication of dealing with private keys and on-chain liability. So that's like a great intermediate option that we have. And also that's, if you think about it, a full custody solution as well, where we custody assets on behalf of the user and enable them to use our regulatory infrastructure to compliantly move them around domestically and internationally as well. So that's number one. Number two, you brought up card issuing, which is not only like an important topic to bring up, but it's also near and dear to my heart. My background's in the card processing space. I worked formerly at Square, so I'm big on card issuing and processing payments with cards. I think it's a very important part of the crypto future. Wyre is working very heavily on that with a number of solutions. A couple of things we have today that are live. We have integrations with card issuing partners like Lithic. If you guys are familiar, Lithic, they're an amazing partner for us. They just make it extremely easy and turnkey for developers and fintechs to create card programs with their infrastructure, right? So we have a pre-built integration with the Lithic team. We work really closely with them to allow these wallets that I brought up and the user balances that these users are holding in Wyre to be directly fed into a card program. So if, for example, Russell wanted to launch a card program called Russell Card, he could engage Lithic services, pay a couple fees, and then obviously a transaction fee per swipe to basically stand up a Russell Card program, and all his users can then use the Russell Card to spend their assets. What Wyre can do is push algo assets into that existing integration with Lithic. So if the user wanted to maybe at the time of swipe or at the time of load or whatever it is, add assets to their issued card, their Russell card, with Algorand assets, they can use Wyre's API to custody the assets, liquidate the assets, and then push those assets directly to our partner like Lithic.
Music to my ears. Thank you very much.
Amazing stuff. I was not aware of that. I've got another dev up here. Looks like the Gambit exchange here. I've got sneaking suspicion that they're doing a crypto exchange. But Gambit, do you have some questions about or for the Wyre team?
Yeah, much appreciated to the Algorand community and Wyre team for coming on and doing this. Yeah, we do have an exchange. We're going after energy specifically, but I have a partnership with a friend that I'm looking to kind of give him some fingers in the right direction on ramping customers. They have a fashion outlet, and so they have a product line they want to be able to accept cards with, and looking to kind of point them in the right direction. Is that something that you guys would be familiar with doing?
So are you looking to help them accept a card payment in exchange for like some fashion apparel? I guess I'm sorry. I would love to hear a little bit more about
bringing them into being able to take payments through crypto. So that's something that they're looking to. They basically have Shopify set up already, and they're looking to bring in customers because they're going after the NFT space as well as a fashion brand.
Awesome. Yeah. So Wyre obviously is deep in the NFT space, a number of solutions there that we can help facilitate. On the crypto acceptance side, I wouldn't say Wyre has turnkey products for this per se, but Wyre's bare bones functionality can enable someone to build a crypto payment acceptance platform. A good example of this is one of our partners, Coin Payments, which is a leading crypto payment platform in the space right now that is actually using Wyre for the fiat payout infrastructure on the back end. So again, Wyre being the bare bones Stripe for crypto-esque style environment, we just want to enable developers to come and build their own UI and build their own look and feel, and just use Wyre's bare bones infrastructure to accomplish that goal. That means that someone can come in and take our existing infrastructure and build some sort of UI where they can accept an Algorand payment from the user, turn that into cash, and deliver that cash to the bank account. Wyre can facilitate that, but again, is very bare bones there. In that sense, I'd probably recommend checking out one of our partners like Coin Payments, who has a turnkey solution that's pre-built with the UI that's handled, the whole fiat order routing system handled, and that can just plug into a Wyre to support that algo backend cash out. Did that make sense?
That's beautiful, man. I appreciate that, and I'll go ahead and pass that on. It's super exciting for what you guys are doing. So much appreciated, Jamal. Appreciate it.
Feel free to reach out to sales@sendwyre.com for an introduction if you'd like to Coin Payments or one of our other partners as well, or just guidance in general.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for the question, Gambit. And we've been talking for like 45 minutes here already, and we haven't really said like, well, how do we connect with Wyre? So as you just said, so the website is sendwyre.com. But Jamal, what are the other ways that you want our devs to get connected to you?
So reach out. We'd love to have a conversation. We're all crypto fanatics, right? So even if that means we jump on the phone and just chat about crypto for 30 minutes, it won't be the worst thing in the world. So reach out. I'd say our sales team is the best people or group of people to reach out to. I'm heavily involved with them and work really closely with them on getting new integrations live, especially with great partners like Algorand. Our joint email address is sales, SALES, at sendwire, SENDWYRE.com. I do have access to that email inbox. Feel free to mention me and I can see if I can jump in the conversation as well. There are multiple ways to reach out to us, though. Our website has a number of areas where you can come in and request more information. Of course, our website has the developer docs that are fully public for you to go in and check out some of these integrations and these API endpoints. Totally enabled for you to actually create an account at Wyre, go through the whole process without talking to someone as well, if you'd like to go through that onboarding process and start playing with the APIs as well. A great place to get your feet wet is our sandbox environment as well. So we also have TestWire, which is TestWyre.com, which is our sandbox environment for you to basically create an account that mirrors our production environment, but is just filled with dummy information and automatically approves. So you can go on there, create a fully enabled test account, and start playing with the APIs in full function there.
That's awesome. And for the algo devs out there, if you are on our Discord server, and I can't imagine why you wouldn't be, going to discord.gg/Algorand and joining, of course. In there, we've got under our ecosystem partners heading, we have the Wyre channel. So you can jump in there, get your questions answered. The Wyre team look at that channel as well and answering questions. And of course, they've got their own Discord channel to go even deeper as needed. So we encourage you to take a look at Wyre and what they have to offer. Their APIs are obviously making things super simple and really helping us build towards that Web3 future that we all have the vision for. And they're really going to be delivering on, and have been delivering on since 2013, the message of bringing crypto to the masses. So with that, Jamal, and I want to thank you so much for joining us here on the Algorand Twitter Spaces here. Once again, Jamal Reis, he is the head of, let's see here, no, I've got it here, director of, crypto strategy. Yes, I remember. Sorry about that. All right, Jamal Reis, director of crypto strategy, and Tyler Anderson, marketing partnerships at Wyre. Thank you both for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
All right, everybody, stay tuned. We do these every few often. Every few weeks we get on Twitter Spaces and we invite you back. Thanks and have fun building on Algorand.